Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today,
we have the impressive Clifford A. Ramirez. Now we're going to be discussing Cliff's incredible novel, After the End. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. Man, trust me when I tell you, it's a lot of other places. Simply type it into a search bar and take that journey, man, because I promise you, once we begin today's discussion, you're going to realize this is one you need to add to your shelf. Before I go any further, I want to point out the fact that Cliff was brought to us by Citi of Books. So for writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process and now you find yourself in a precarious position, man, because listen, you've written this book, but now you need some assistance moving it. Well, head on over to citiofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have Cliff here on the line. Man, we all heard the stories, right? I remember it like it was yesterday. We were coming up to 2012, and what was promised was the end of the world. What if the world didn't end in 2012, but you died? Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question. All right, that's something I want to ponder here for a second, because for our main protagonist, Professor Carey Roberts, you see, a trip leads to a personal catastrophe and a one-way ticket, unfortunately, to a realm where the journey of the souls is just the beginning. Now, in this groundbreaking novel, Cliff flips the idea of death on its head, and he presents a breathtaking vision where endings are merely doorways. And this is not a story about the end. It's actually about what comes after. Now, it's something that we've all pondered. It's something that we've all most likely have had discussions about. I know I've had plenty of them. And my goodness, is it something remarkably compelling. Sit back, strap in, and get ready. Like I said, we're going to scratch the surface here today, but I promise you're going to run and purchase your copies once we've completed. Cliff, first and foremost, welcome to the show, man. We are thoroughly looking forward to this. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you, and enjoying the opportunity to speak about the book.
It is a pleasure to have you here, and we're looking forward to learning about the book. First and foremost, Cliff, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
I'm currently retired. I started off studying for the Roman Catholic priesthood, and when I left my studies, I went into banking for a while, but the major part of my career was in higher education. And two areas that I enjoyed very much in higher education were staff development and helping students through the whole experience of getting through college. As a student for the priesthood, I had to deal a lot with the tribulations of individuals, especially those who were ill, and a number of individuals who passed away.
Yeah.
I also saw this as a supervisor, both at the bank and in higher education. When I retired, it was to become the caretaker of my son. He needed 24-hour care, and in fact, he passed away last November. The concept and the ideas of death were really rotating through my mind and drawing on my old experience of studying for the priesthood, as well as my own apprehensions and adventure of what was going to come next.
A wonderful connection here to my follow-up question, because the underlying message and one of the themes carried in this book, as you and I talked about on the pre-screening call, is death not being the end. It's just a passage into something else. It's a transition into a new state of being. Now, I love that viewpoint. I love that perspective. I'm curious, how did the Mayan concept of time, and because of course it's circular, it follows that same line in terms of it's not an end, but a transition. How did that concept, opposed to a linear timeline with a final ending, provide for the perfect foundation for this idea?
We often think of calendars as set in a very specific period of time. So there's always a last day of the year. And if you just focus on the last day of the year, you forget about the future. You forget about what comes next and what you want to come next. So I looked at the incidents surrounding the 2012 predictions and also what 2012 actually was, and used it as a springboard for talking about a concept that I've been spending a lot of time with, and that is perpetual evolution. When God created the world, he set life in process, and that not only means human life, but also the world around us. So everything is evolving. Now, what that evolution entails, that's the part that I tried to be creative with and come up with some new ideas and a new perspective on what comes next.
Cliff, this idea of perpetual evolution is fascinating to me. And again, we see it embodied in the book, right? The people that Roberts meets in, I believe it's Kaan, right? This like afterlife journey where he's encountering these souls, both from his past and also new souls. They're all seemingly at different stages of their own ongoing journeys. And it, again, aligning perfectly with this perpetual evolution. Let's now dive in and we'll explore characters briefly, but of course there are a lot of them, so we're not going to go into all of them. But how did you use characters like the troubled Roon or suspected murderer Phyllis to show that personal evolution continues after death?
Part of it is what you just characterized, and that is that we are all at different stages of growth in our life process. And I wanted to show that despite that, we can all still get along together. We can all still care about each other and help each other grow. The evolution that is perpetual is something that is beyond our control, but we contribute to it by the things that we do, the thoughts that we have, and the personal outreach we make to the people around us. What I tried to create was a cast of characters here that were at different levels of growth, but that all could relate to one another and find the assistance they needed to move forward, just as Roberts does, my protagonist.
Listen, I think it's safe to assume what happens when you do that, Cliff, so I'm not going to, man. What do you hope is the most impactful way this story changes a reader's perspective on the endings that they experience in their own daily lives?
I think I would like to see individuals, readers, our entire population, not focus so much on endings as much as on their growth process. How do we accelerate our growth so that we continue that growth no matter where we are, whether it be in this world or in Kaan, which, by the way, is the Mayan word for heaven. In fact, I tried to draw a little bit of a demarcation here in that although the book is about the afterlife, my protagonist has trouble realizing that it is the afterlife. So maybe it's something else. In other words, we don't know what that next process will be, what it will be like after the end.
Throughout this process, what was a highlight for you in writing this book? Or if not a highlight, something that surprised you that you weren't anticipating before you began?
I wanted to get to a point where my character would grow and come to realizations about himself so that he can accept himself. That's why I drew him as an individual with a lot of problems with himself. But I wanted to show in those problems that sometimes we mistake what we think are issues with ourselves, and they're all part of characteristics that draw us forward in our growth. His interactions with the characters benefit the other characters, but also benefit him and help him along his road to grow. Now, the question is going to come up then, why leave Kaan? Why do characters leave Kaan? And that's the question that I'm still grappling with myself.
There is something that I think is wildly philosophical and really deep that can go here, right? Because I'm stuck here looking at this ongoing journey and how life continues after death. And I love the concept. But as I was thinking in preparation for it, I'm like, okay, if we are on this journey that continues and we are constantly being able to work and better ourselves and evolve, right? What is this final destination? Is there ever a heaven, or does the journey just continue? If you understand what I mean, like, I don't even know if is it possible to even answer that question? I don't know. We're speculating, of course, but I think that's fascinating if you're following me here, Cliff.
Yes, and it is a lot of speculation here, because where does the journey end? I do give some indications, even though I don't understand them myself, because the reason for the journey is that we are ultimately going to be reunited with our Creator. Now, what form that takes, that's anybody's guess, and other people are welcome to imagine what that might be. I'm concerned right now with the journey itself and keeping the growth going. Yeah. What sort of propelled some of this was that I had seen some cartoons on the internet that blame God for everything. They say things like, if there is a God, why is there hunger in the world? Why is there war in the world? Why don't we get along? That's not God's fault. That's our fault. So let's put the blame where it belongs, and let's focus on the processes that can get us together and move us forward.
Is your book, After the End, is it more about the story of life, the story of death, or that journey itself? What are you wanting people to take from this book after they've concluded?
I'm focusing more on the journey, and I want readers to take from the book the fact that we are on this journey. Let's make the best of it. Let's move ourselves forward as quickly as possible so that maybe we can find out what is at the end of that journey, what the final destination will be. In the meantime, let's don't get hung up on it. Let's don't get hung up on death as an ending, but let's keep the focus on ongoing life, the perpetual evolution that I mentioned. And the reason we can do that is because the other gift that we were given at creation is independent will. And that's what should propel us forward.
People, listen, man, this book is wildly entertaining, but it is a great reminder of appreciating that journey. And it shifts our perspective to understanding that the end doesn't have to be the end. Like, the end might just be the start of a new transition. And I think that there is something that is beautiful about that categorization and remarkably liberating. Let's focus on where we are right now, and let's appreciate what we're going through.
In fact, most religions will tell us that, will insist that the soul continues forever. You have to wonder, what is that eternity all about? The two things that I would want to leave readers with is, one, pay attention. As you said, let's slow down. Let's appreciate what is going on around us and use it to further our own growth. And the other thing is that there is one character in the book who is a real life character. He was my English teacher in high school. And he used to quote Thomas Aquinas and say, intelligence is the ability to see implication. So if we're going to be intelligent about our lives, we have to pay attention to what's happening in our lives and try to determine what the meaning is behind everything that is happening.
Whew. It's such a, listen, Cliff, man, what a powerful statement, especially given the time and the day that we're currently in and what we see happening around the world. My goodness. Yeah, let's focus in, people. All right. You guys understand what I'm saying, man. This book is layered, man. It's nuanced. It's Amazon. It's Barnes & Noble. It's entitled After the End by Clifford A. Ramirez. Pick up your copies today. Cliff, this has been a remarkable discussion, man, and really a true delight. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you for having me, and I've enjoyed our time together.